With the first 10 games under our belt, I can just tell you right now, it is going to be a brutally long season.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I am your host, Jess Belmosto, and thank you so much for joining me today. If you're new here, hi, hello, my name's Jess, and I have hosted this show since 2020, and I'm so happy to be here providing another season of everyday coverage for your Calgary Flames. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet and you'll get started with $100 or $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Today, we're going to be recapping and kind of dissecting this first 10-game segment of the Calgary Flames season and just that drop off. They've been crashing out, and of course, we have to talk about it because there are many different versions of the Calgary Flames that I think a lot of us have seen, and this is probably going to be the ugliest. And we will wrap up the show today with welcoming back Jacob Markstrom ahead of tonight's matchup against the New Jersey Devils. Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube, and let's dive right into it. So, the Flames are the Flames. We all knew heading into the season that this was going to be a kind of bad year. And then they came out of the gate swinging, right? They did not lose a game in regulation. And, they had huge comeback wins against Vancouver to start the season. And then against Edmonton, where they were given every break known to man. And you were seeing scoring from quite literally everywhere in the lineup. Jonathan Huberdeau was having multi-point nights. Anthony Mantha was going on like a little point streak. You were getting fantastic performances out of Vladar and Wolf. And things seemed to be going very well. And just like the proverbs, is it a proverb? Colloquial saying goes, all good things must come to an end. And that they did. There was a switch flipped after that game, that overtime loss to the Seattle Kraken. I do not know what happened. I do not know what got lost in translation, where this team came from or where that team went. Everyone kind of settled in and we started seeing who the Flames really are, not even were, but who they are. The defense started looking more like the defense we'd all projected. Jake Bean and Tyson Barrie have not been statistically pleasant on the score sheets or those player impact cards, or they haven't been too easy on the eyes either. It's brutal. There are times where you need the stats to kind of back your points, but the game against Utah earlier this week was enough for me to say, please put Tyson Barrie in the press box for the remainder of the season, or until we cannot like only break in case of an emergency sort of situation. Just not great. We saw Kevin Rooney get hurt. We saw Sharon Govich get hurt and then come back. Sam Honzik was out, and then he's been reassigned to the Wranglers. And of course, Matt Coronado, that whole situation where, he is scratched for the first few games and then comes in, has great performances, and then Sharon Govich comes back and he's sent down. And then Sam Honzik comes back, plays a game, and then Honzik gets sent down, and Coronado's recalled after great performances with the Wranglers. Like, there's just been a lot of moving pieces to this Flames team through the first 10 games. And that is kind of feeling like the theme of the season. And it's not the movement like last year where, Noah Hannafin was going, Elias Lindholm was going, Nikita Zadorov was gone by Christmas. Like, it's not anything like that. It's just the injury bug is striking early, and then your AHL players are kind of making their rounds. And I will say that allowing 19 goals in your last 4 games is less than ideal. Where did the defense go? I would love to know. I can't, or I guess I just refuse to wrap my head around losing 4 straight. This reminds me a lot of 2 seasons ago when they kind of got off to a hot start at home and then went on a 7-game losing streak once they hit the road. And it's really feeling like that. And if that's the kind of season we're going to have, like the 2022-2023 Flames, can we just fast forward and like skip to June? Because not even June, April. We cannot live through that again. And there's just a lot that has to happen now in order for the Flames to reap the rewards. And it feels like we are just entering the trenches. And this first 10-game stretch is just the start of it. And we're going to have to buckle up, put on our big hockey fan pants, pull them up by the bootstraps, and get through this season together. Because, there may not be many overly talented players. Like, there's no Matthew Tkachuk on this team. There is no, David Pasternak or Austin Matthews, but there are young kids that offer a bright, promising future. And I feel like that's all we can really focus on and look forward to at the moment. And coming up next, we're going to talk about, where do the Flames pick it up? How do they pull themselves up by the bootstraps and move forward, and go over some glaring stats? Because my goodness, it has been a very tough start to the season for the Flames after such a hot start. And we will be right back after this. Game Time is the app to use if you are looking for tickets for your live events, whether it's a concert, a comedy show, a theater show, or a hockey game. I used Game Time to get my tickets to the Battle of Alberta earlier this season. And oh my goodness, thank goodness for Game Time picks, because it saved me so much time. Game Time Picks is a new feature that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I found my tickets in less than 3 minutes of using the Game Time app. All I had to do, select what filters I needed for price and ticket options, how many tickets I needed, and the best deals were pulled forward, and mine were the best ones that I could find. So I took advantage of Game Time. Right now, Game Time is having an exclusive zone deal for the NHL Winter Classic event at Wrigley Field. Go to the Game Time app to purchase tickets and get $10 10% off bleacher seating and 20 to 25% off on home plate area seats. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. I hope you're having a great day, and make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your Calgary Flames every day. And I think the Flames' biggest weakness right now is the penalty kill. And if you have listened to any other episodes of Locked On Flames this week, you know how detrimental this penalty kill has been to this team. Um, you know, it's not all, it feels like every penalty kill is a guaranteed power play goal for the opponent. And that is not fun. That is not something you want. That should not be like you should have confidence in your penalty kill, especially considering how good the penalty kill has been in the past. But you don't have Chris Tanev and Noah Hannafin anymore. You don't like Chris Tanev would like he was the glue that held the penalty kill together. And it is so hard watching what's in front of us. I think one of the biggest things right now that they need to focus on as well is the face-offs. They are having such a hard time. They are having a very difficult time with the face-offs. They just cannot win them. And I think that comes down to a few things, but I think the biggest thing is they don't have like a strong true face-off winner. Like their centers aren't where their opponents are. They're not as skilled. And, sometimes it really is like luck of the draw sort of deal. It is, kind of like heads or tails. But it feels like the Flames do quit out. They do. It feels like they'll get to the dot and then they'll just kind of, okay. Like there's no effort. There's no real I guess like driving force to want to win these face-offs. It just feels very lazy. And like if you've ever done dance and you're like just like marking your routine, so basically just kind of like not even like halfway doing it, but just like again marking it. There's no real effort there. That's sometimes what it looks and feels like when the Flames are at the face-off dot. And they have a 44% face-off win percentage through 10 games. They have just looked bad. There's really no other way to put it, and I think that that's what's so frustrating is because we knew this team was going to be tough, and we knew that they were going to be tough to watch. However, when they come out as hot as they did and then start stinking like garbage in a hot car out of nowhere, that drop off is kind of it feels a lot worse than it might actually be. Maybe if they didn't win consecutive games, it wouldn't feel like that, but it certainly feels like they can't buy themselves a win. And you know what they need right now? A win. I don't even care about the points or making the playoffs. They just need something to snap them out of this. Just one true 60-minute performance to break this. I'm not even necessarily concerned with the goaltending. Do I want them to shift to Dustin Wolf full time? Yes, I do. I think that, yes, he got absolutely shelled in Utah. He did. He got it handed to him. But I feel like he needs to be there night after night after night, or at least do like 2 starts to Vladar's 1. They have to start doing something because if you want to win games, you can't rely on this defense, and you obviously cannot rely on this offense, and we know you're not going to be buyers at the deadline or at any point in this season, so why don't we kind of put a lot of our eggs in this goaltender basket? And for me, I think, having one of the worst penalty kills in this league is really more of a reason to have the better goalie of the two in net more often than not. And I understand they're doing what they need to do. I get it. You have to figure out, you can't overwork the young kid. You can't put him in an unrealistic situation. Y- But it's been a month. I think we should be maybe navigating and leading ourselves down the road of Wolf starting more games in a row. He is going to look better. He's going to obviously get more experience. And I'm sorry, but he'll probably be in the Calder conversations if you let this happen. And maybe you let that happen because I don't know what else is going to put people in your seats at the Saddle Dome. I really don't. Like that hot start, sure. People were, oh, okay, like maybe I do want to go watch the Flames. And now it's like, I will pay you to take these tickets off of my hands. You do not need to pay me. So I am hoping that moving forward, we do kind of see a change in the goaltending. I think they need to figure something out with Jake Bean, Tyson Berry, and even Miramonov. Like I understand why you aren't playing a lot of the younger Wranglers and things like that, but like it can't be like this all season long, especially when you have defensive prospects like Jeremy Poirier making the progress they need to be making in order to be an NHL regular. So we'll just have to keep an eye on it. The Wranglers had one heck of a month. So maybe Matt Coronado will bring some of that luck with him. I think he needs to be on the power play. I'm not saying he'll fix it, but I think that having his shot there would be a lot more productive than, say, someone like Anthony Mantha or even Jonathan Huberdeau. Sorry, but I think that that's something else that we can dissect probably next week, depending on how these next few games go. But coming up next, we are going to wrap up the show with a little welcome back party for our good friend Jacob Markstrom, who returns to the Saddle Dome tonight in his first performance as a Devil at the Saddle Dome. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So maybe tonight, it's Dan Vladar versus Jacob Markstrom, so like a battle of the mids. Maybe maybe you are taking the Jersey money line, Jack Hughes anytime goal, Eric Holla, multiple shots on net, or maybe you're gonna put money on a Jonathan Huberdeau anytime goal. When you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit fanduel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's fanduel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Thanks everyone for tuning into today's episode. Make sure you're following me on Twitter at JessBelmosto because I'm here to live tweet and say what everyone else is thinking, or maybe not. I feel like there are some times where I'm hypercritical of people who are hypercritical of the Flames because there has been a lot of change. And one of the biggest changes was, of course, trading Jacob Markstrom. Jacob Markstrom is coming back to town tonight after being traded this summer to the New Jersey Devils. The Flames got Kevin Ball and draft pick in return, and that's great. It needed to happen, especially with how the Flames botched it at the trade deadline, and then Markstrom's reaction, but also to get Dustin Wolf up into the NHL, because at the end of the day, that was the goal, and that was not going to happen if you weren't trading one of your goaltenders. And quite frankly, everyone made it clear that they did not want Dan Vladar. But I'm excited. I love watching tribute videos. I think that those are always so nice to look back on, especially when it's a player like Jacob Markstrom, because he was he became a Flame my first off season covering the Flames. So I was very excited. That was like the summer the Flames acquired every Canuck known to man. And it was great because it was like a holding spot for Dustin Wolf. And that's exactly what it was. And while he did struggle, he had some really great years. He had the season where he came in second, Vezina trophy finalist voting. He may like to have slip and slided to the neutral zone to try to save a puck, but he always made it entertaining one way or another. Some nights he could make the most incredible, like double stack saves look the best and make him look so easy. And other nights, he might not have been able to stop a beach ball. And well, maybe tonight he won't be able to stop a beach ball, and the Flames will finally get something going for themselves. He has struggled a lot this season with Jersey. He does have a 903 save percentage right now, but I have him in fantasy, and he has given up like 4 goals, what feels like very consistently. So, New Jersey's a young team, and they do have a pretty young defensive group, I would say. Um, Luke Hughes, I don't want anyone. I'm not sold on Luke Hughes at the moment, but not in like a I'm writing him off because he's like a nepotism baby sort of way. I just think that he's another player that needs to grow into this role as an NHL defenseman, and that takes time. He's had a few injuries too, so that's going to set him back a little bit. The Flames have just struggled. And I think it's going to be a little easier to watch tonight. Maybe not, as smooth as it was earlier on in the season, the first few games after Vancouver. But I think it's just going to be an example of calling up the younger talent. Matt Coronado's on the second line with Backlund and Coleman. I think that that's a good spot for him. Kevin Rooney back in for Justin Kirkland. Kevin Rooney, great at faceoffs. And they need to find a way to win faceoffs. And I think writing off Kevin Rooney 2 games after he's returned from a pretty significant and terrifying concussion is ridiculous. You cannot expect like perfection out of these players, but especially ones returning from injury and as serious of an injury as a traumatic brain injury. We have to temper these expectations, because even if say they put Sam Morton on the 4th line center in that spot, people are going to complain that he's not playing well. So part of being a bad team is suffering through the bad to get to the good. And it feels like there's just no pleasing anyone. And you can look at the discourse however you want, and no one is happy. You're not happy if they're winning. You're not happy if they're losing. You're not happy if the star, the highest paid player on the team is having multi-point nights. no one's happy if Rasmus Anderson is having, one heck of a season, even though they want him traded. It's very confusing. So at the end of the day, we're all here to watch hockey and enjoy hockey. I know that I want to see the best performance that this team can give regardless. I hope that tonight they do look like a more well-rested, speedy, skillful team, because that has been missing. But I also don't know where you're just going to randomly find that, because you're not. And New Jersey is another young team, and they have a lot of talented players. So let's try to stay out of the penalty box. Try to get some by Markstrom, and maybe play a little defense, because it would be really nice to snap this losing streak, especially in front of a crowd, the night that Jacob Markstrom returns. But that will do it for me on today's episode of Locked On Flames. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend and are staying warm. It is cold and rainy here, so if it's raining where you are, stay warm, stay dry, put on a nice sweatshirt, get ready to hunker in and watch the Flames. And I will see you all Monday, but make sure you are subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We are here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your Calgary Flames every day. And I will see you all later.